Hachette Audio presents The Choice, written by Nicholas Sparks and read by Holter Graham.
Prologue, February 2007. Stories are as unique as the people who tell them, and the best stories are those in which the ending is a surprise. At least, that's what Travis Parker recalled his dad telling him when he was a child. Travis remembered the way his dad would sit on the bed beside him, his mouth curling into a smile as Travis begged for a story. "What kind of story do you want?" his dad would ask. "The best one ever," Travis would answer. Usually, his dad would sit quietly for a few moments, and then his eyes would light up. He'd put his arm around Travis and, in a pitch-perfect voice, would launch into a story that often kept Travis awake long after his dad had turned out the lights. There was always adventure and danger and excitement and journeys that took place in and around the small coastal town of Beaufort, North Carolina, the place Travis Parker grew up and still called home. Strangely, most of them included bears. Grizzly bears, brown bears, Kodiak bears. His dad wasn't a stickler for reality when it came to a bear's natural habitat. He focused on hair-raising chase scenes through the sandy lowlands, giving Travis nightmares about crazed polar bears on Shackleford banks until he was well into middle school. And yet, no matter how frightened the stories had made him, he would inevitably ask, "What happened next?" To Travis, those days seemed like the innocent vestiges of another era. He was 43 now, and as he parked his car in the parking lot of Carteret General Hospital, where his wife had worked for the past 10 years, he thought again about the words he always said to his father. Stepping out of the car, he reached for the flowers he'd brought. The last time he and his wife had spoken, they'd had an argument. And more than anything, he wanted to take back his words and make amends. He was under no illusions that the flowers would make things better between them, but he wasn't sure what else to do. It went without saying that he felt guilty about what had happened, but married friends had assured him that guilt was the cornerstone of any good marriage. It meant that a conscience was at work, values were held in high esteem, and that reasons to feel guilty were best avoided whenever possible. His friends sometimes admitted their failures in this particular area, and Travis figured that the same could be said about any couple he'd ever met. He supposed his friends had said it to make him feel better, to reassure him that no one was perfect, that he shouldn't be so hard on himself. "Everyone makes mistakes," they'd said. And though he nodded as if he believed them, he knew they would never understand what he was going through. They couldn't. After all, their wives were still sleeping beside them every night. None of them had ever been separated for 3 months. None of them wondered whether their marriage would ever return to what it once had been. As he crossed the parking lot, he thought about both of his daughters, his job, his wife. At the moment, none of them gave him much comfort. He felt like he was failing in practically every area of his life. Lately, happiness seemed as distant and unattainable to him as space travel. He hadn't always felt this way. There had been a long period of time during which he remembered being very happy. But things change. People change. Change was one of the inevitable laws of nature, exacting its toll on people's lives. Mistakes are made, regrets form, and all that was left were repercussions that made something as simple as rising from the bed seem almost laborious. Shaking his head, he approached the door of the hospital, picturing himself as the child he had been, listening to his father's stories. His own life had been the best story ever, he mused, the kind of story that should have ended on a happy note. As he reached for the door, he felt the familiar rush of memory and regret. Only later, after he let the memories overtake him once again, would he allow himself to wonder what would happen next.